Possessed, the exorcism that inspired the Vatican Files. She screamed in Latin though she had never studied the language. Her voice changed, deep, gravelly, inhuman. Furniture moved, crosses flew off the walls, and the Vatican sent a priest not to bless her, but to document everything. What happened in 1999 inside that remote Bavarian farmhouse would become the basis for one of the most disturbing files in the Vatican archives. It was so controversial, it was sealed from the public. But now whispers of the case are leaking, and it's being called the exorcism that inspired the Vatican Files. Introduction: the reality behind the terror. Possession, a term that evokes ancient rituals, trembling voices, and twisted features. And until recently, it was ignored as a mere legend. That is, until a defrocked priest anonymously released fragments of the file in 2022, which revealed recordings, transcripts, and a diary from a tormented exorcist who claimed she was not the sole individual who was possessed. Each of us was, using fear, power, and an entity that predates hell. This is the unrecorded narrative of the exorcism that served as the impetus for the Vatican Files. Part 1. The girl, the screams, the silence. It originated in a small, snow-covered hamlet in southern Germany. A quiet, 17-year-old girl named Maria Gertner was reared in a devout Catholic family. She was a violinist. She participated in church volunteer work. She had never experienced any form of ailment, whether it be mental or physical. The situation intensified over the subsequent weeks. Maria declined to consume food. She initiated the process of scratching at crucifixes. Her voice transformed. Despite never having studied Latin or Aramaic, she spoke fluent Latin and Aramaic one evening. She was aware of information that she was not supposed to have, including the private sins of local clergymen and even the secrets from her own father's past. Her parents brought her to psychiatrists in a state of desperation. However, each scan yielded a normal result. She was not deranged. No anomalies were observed in her brain. Nevertheless, she would convulse, shriek, and implore them to prevent it from entering again every night at 3 a.m. The physicians were unable to provide any responses. Nevertheless, the church did. Part 2. Father Anton's Forbidden Orders. Father Anton Vogler, a 53-year-old Jesuit priest with a foundation in anthropology and theology, is introduced. He had previously conducted a single minor exorcism. However, the church was attracted to him due to his unwavering skepticism. Not a believer, but a doubter was the Vatican's wish. An individual who would conduct a scientific investigation of the case. Father Anton, however, did not attend as an exorcist. Rather, he served as an observer. On February 12, 1999, he arrived at the Gertner residence. On the initial evening, he recorded the following in his journal. "This is not demonic. The adolescent has been subjected to trauma. I will pray, however, I am concerned that there may be an element of hysteria involved." That conviction was not sustained for an extended period. On the third night, Maria launched herself across the room with non-physical force. No running start, no push. A simple elevation and a slam. The furniture vibrated. The temperature plummeted precipitously. Her skin blistered in the shape of a cross when Anton placed a rosary on her chest. Her statements were considerably more alarming. She initiated the practice of referring to spirits by Enochian names, which were exclusively found in obscure occult manuscripts that Father Anton had studied in seminary decades prior. She referenced the Keys of Solomon, described the rituals of ancient Babylon, and identified symbols that Anton had only seen in suppressed Vatican texts. He was unable to continue to deny the events that were unfolding. He was issued new directives by the Church. Continue with full authorization. Ensure that all information is recorded. Refrain from deviating. This will be transported to Rome. Consequently, the sanctioned exorcism commenced. Part 3. The Ritual and the Manifestation. Father Anton, 2 other priests, and a nurse conducted the rite of exorcism every evening at 3 a.m., the devil's hour, for 21 days. There was no explanation for the information they recorded. Maria's voice underwent a series of changes. Once it transformed into a mocking child, once it became a weeping old man, and once it became a hoarse growl that only spoke in riddles. Objects independently relocated. In the second week, a Bible was incinerated. Blood was observed not from Maria, but rather from the ceiling during the prayers. Maria was propelled off the bed for 11 seconds when Father Anton yelled, "In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti." They inquired about the Spirit's name. It declined. However, when it was endangered by sanctified water, it cried out. She once mentioned the location of a sealed subterranean chapel beneath the Vatican gardens, where the dragon sleeps in gold. This location was subsequently verified in ancient Vatican architectural diagrams. It was not merely a possession, it was a message. Part 4. The Breaking Point. Maria's condition declined by the third week. She rejected sustenance. Dangerously, her weight plummeted. She developed a sensitivity to light in her eyes and was unable to tolerate the presence of holy water near her epidermis. The subsequent actions they took were disturbing. They interred it. However, sources within the Vatican assert that they did not merely archive it, rather they employed it. A new internal Vatican task force, the Office of Paranormal Inquiry and Response (OPIR), was discreetly established in 2006. Cardinal Benedetti presided over the evaluation of Anton's report, which resulted in the development of a novel theory. Demonic forces were transforming. They were no longer satisfied with isolated possessions. They were now transmitting messages. The fictionalized Vatican Files, a collection of horror films, novels, and streaming shows that loosely follow the exorcism, were inspired by the incident. These works are frequently riddled with hidden symbols and truths that are only revealed to those who are willing to decode them. What is the concept? Disguise the truth in plain sight. Final revelation, the diary's final page. The girl was rescued. However, we are not. Indeed, we recorded the demon. However, we also extended an invitation to him. I am not interested in the lady. Upon entering the institution, into the church, something has already entered Rome through the cracks in its fortifications. This was not the conclusion, it was the examination. Conclusion. Was it genuine? Or is it a disguised warning? The Vatican continues to deny the existence of the case. Maria continues to exist, residing in northern Italy under an assumed identity. However, those who have reviewed the Vatican Files are aware of the truth. Not all narratives conclude with a cross and sacred water. Some conclude with murmurs, concealed documents, and doors that should never be opened. Therefore, the next time you observe a horror film that is inspired by true events, contemplate the following. What if the reality was significantly more detrimental? If this story gave you chills, hit that like button, subscribe for more real horror tales, and let us know in the comments.